Good morning. Welcome to the Marion County Board of Commissioners meeting. It's Wednesday, March 18th, 2015. We're in the Senator hearing room at Courthouse Square in Salem, Oregon. We begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you would join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So the first item on our agenda is a presentation by Alan Haley, Cindy Schmidt, and Steve Pressler. It's the Asphalt Pavement Association of Oregon Urban Street Award to Public Works Engineering staff. So good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
You have a PowerPoint presentation for us. Is that correct?
We do.
You do. Very good.
So the APAO is the Asphalt Paving Association of Oregon. Presents awards.
I'm not hearing you through the microphone, Alan. Let's see.
Better?
That's
There we
better,
go.
yes.
So APAO is an organization that focuses on training and education promotion of the asphalt industry. And each year they present excellence in paving awards. So the categories that are included for the awards that they give are commercial, industrial, rural road, based on smoothness, special projects, state highway, urban arterial, and urban streets. The criteria includes the uniform texture of the road, smooth, tight joints, tight matches, the overall ride of the road, overall appearance, and then the degree of difficulty of the project. And the criteria specific to this category from a rural road is 2 or more lanes, non-highway, road with shoulders, no substantial curb and gutter, either new or overlay. And then the urban street is the 2-lane residential or business streets with curb and gutter. It should have catch basins, manholes, a couple of intersections. It should be included in the job. So, Marion County Public Works has received an award for a paving project, and the winner is...
Are you ready?
Or Clackamas County or something. All right.
Yes, we were nominated by the contractor, North Santiam Paving. They nominated Ward Drive for this award, and it won first place in the urban street category. And I just want to tell you a little bit about what the project was as a refresher. I know you've seen some presentations on it previously, but Ward Drive was an urban upgrade project that included the installation of adequate bike lanes, sidewalk along the entire corridor between Portland Road on the west end and Lancaster Drive on the east end. It also included a new traffic signal at the Fisher Road Ward Drive intersection, which has been in need for several years, and some additional turn lanes there to handle the traffic capacity. And then we also replaced the traffic signal at Lancaster, which was quite old, and added a new right turn lane there. And the project was funded predominantly by federal funds that we obtained through the Surface Transportation Program, urban funds, and we received those funds through the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments. And the remaining, the local match was paid for by our Salem SDCs, System Development Charges. As this previous slide showed, the construction was about a $1.6 million construction contract for the project. The entire project cost was about $2.7 million, which included all of the engineering, right-of-way, and also some reimbursement of quite a few utilities. There was a lot of utility moves and a lot of changes to this corridor. And with that, introduce Steve Pressler. He's our project engineer who managed the project and worked with the contractor most closely, and he'd like to share a little bit about how the project went and why it received this award.
Okay. The picture you see here is a before and after street view looking east from Fisher Road. So this looks toward Lancaster Drive, and you can see how we widened the road for left turn lane, shoulders for bike lane, and then we have sidewalk on either side of the road. Next slide is looking at Lancaster. You can see the old signal there. It was a classic. Had the old strain poles and wires, and we have a brand-new signal at that location. And you can see the bike lane and additional sidewalks. Next slide. And then this is at the signal intersection looking toward Portland Road. You can see a before and after, and this was a good shot. It showed some people walking along in the weeds there. They can now walk on the sidewalk, and there's a signal there. That neighborhood was very excited about getting that signal, and I didn't understand until I tried to turn during a busy time from Meadow Park Loop there. It's difficult when the road's very busy. So the work that North Santiam did on this project was very good, not just with the paving, but the getting all of the storm drain in with all of the utilities. It was a snake pit of utilities out there all over the place. Some we didn't know were there. And it really was a quality project, and by driving the road, you can feel the quality work that they did. So it was a good effort by them, and this award recognized that. And there's the award, which is right here. So from North Santiam, the Jeff Bensing was the asphalt paving superintendent. Danny Lundy was the project manager. And then they recognized the supplier of the materials for the paving, and then you can see from the county there. So.
And they also receive an award with their name on it, just as similar as ours, which says Marion County on it.
So how did you get notified of this award? Was it at some big gathering, or did they just email you and say, hey, you want an award, or something in between?
They emailed me in January and said, you've been nominated. So
Okay.
that means we were one of, I think it was 4 or 5 that had been nominated. And we actually found out that we had the award, the first place, at the dinner held down in Eugene on February 26th. Held down in Eugene on February 26th is when we found out.
So what is the event in Eugene on February 26th?
It's their annual conference, and then it
Okay.
culminates in an award dinner on the last night.
So there were a lot of your peers there that saw that.
Yes, City of Salem received some awards, and City of Portland, Washington County, a lot of the other agencies around the state. Yeah.
This is excellent. Very good news, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Congratulations. When was the project actually completed?
August of 2014, it was
So
completely
last summer?
done. Yes.
Great. This is one of several projects you had going on in the county, and I think I drove is it Crooked? What's the name of the road up there, Alan?
Crooked Finger?
Crooked Finger.
Mm-hmm.
I drove that after it was done. Saw a lot of deer out there. It was a beautiful day, too. And that seemed like it was one of those projects, would have been a rural project that was really well done as well. So, I mean, great work.
That was a
there.
chip seal project, so this is more of a asphalt
Or overlay.
Overlay. Mhm.
Okay, so that was not an overlay, that was chip seal.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, but good work. And the question I do have is when you talk about storm drain improvements in this project at Ward Drive, talking about storm water management and what we've been going through, was some of that work to help with the new techniques that we have to install throughout the county as we do these improvements over the storm water management issue?
It was. Do you want to go over the?
The stormwater for this area is being treated at a biofiltration pond along Fisher Road. If you drive out there, it's just south of Ward Drive. The storm water collects at that point. It goes through the retention pond. It's treated that way, and then it goes back into the storm drain system there at Fisher once it goes through that filtration process.
We also did use pervious surface for the sidewalks out there so that they drain down and through. So that's also part of the stormwater system.
Okay,
Interesting.
good. Thank you.
But this was a pavement award
Right.
versus
Right.
like the rest of the award.
Right.
But it all runs together, I think, is
Uh-huh.
what
At one point it does,
we're
yes.
talking about, yeah.
Okay, so
All right, nothing to add, but congratulations and thanks for bringing it forward and keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I think Jolene Kelly said she wanted to take a photo. So
Really?
Okay.
One more question.
Sure.
Alan, did Commissioner Brentano insist on the bike lane that was?
Saw his name on it on one of those photos.
I'd been happy if I saw a bike rider on it.
there is a B out there. So,
Yeah.
Brentano, sorry.
All right, Jolene, where are you?
Should we come down below or just down above? Or?
Where are they?
What do you want?
No, better if you come down.
Okay.
And then everybody's kind of the same height. Just right in front of there. You might have to have a back row and a front row. There we go. And we can have everyone together. Okay, I'm gonna do a couple here. There we go. Okay, is everybody ready? 1, 2, 3. And I'm gonna do one more. The battery is the flash. Let it do its thing. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you.
Well, that was fun. Thank you for bringing that forward. So the next item is public comment, and we have no one signed up for public comment, unless someone came in. Nope. Okay, so we'll move on to the consent calendar, and Commissioner Brentano, I believe it is your turn to read.
I think I'm stuck on some bike path somewhere. Madam Chair, we have 2 items under consent to approve this morning. Make a motion to 3 items to approve them. First, under Board of Commissioners, approve a resolution supporting Second Amendment rights in the United States Constitution and Article 1, Section 27 rights in the Oregon Constitution. Under Public Works, receive hearings officer recommendation, schedule a public hearing for April 1st, 2015 for a zone change comprehensive plan amendment in case ZC CP 14002 Ferris Timber Incorporated. Under Tax Collector, approve an order authorizing property tax refund to T-Mobile USA Incorporated in the amount of $20,486.34.
I'll second the Commissioner's motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve these 3 items. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
They are approved. So we have 2 action items today, and the first is under Board of Commissioners. Oh, they're both under Board of Commissioners. So the first is to consider approval of an order appointing Kim Brady to the Marion County Veterans Task Force. And my name is on this, so I'll start, but then Kathy Crocker has graciously jumped in to help with this. So this is a group, Marion County Veterans Task Force, that was actually formed out of the Joining Community Forces effort that Alon Lambert came to the board and asked us if we would participate in. So we passed an order appointing Mark Peterson, I think, to the task force, although it had a different name at the time, right? It was Joining Community Forces. Looking at Gloria because she did the research. And we were trying to dig out and see exactly how all of this came to be. And then Commissioner Patty Milne was also appointed to be the liaison with that group. So when Commissioner Milne retired, Alon Lambert came to us as a board at a work session that we had on veterans and said, who's going to come to the meetings representing the board office? So I put several meetings on my calendar and went to one and discovered that Kim was going to the meetings. And I thought, how perfect. She is a veteran. She could represent Marion County. So we took a little tour of this facility that we were at on that day that's going to be a very nice veteran shelter, some housing, and just kind of asked her if she'd be interested, and she said yes, and then things took too long, but we've resurrected the process, and she is here today to accept this appointment from the Board of Commissioners. She will be our official representative from the board to that group, report back to the board on what's going on, ask us to be involved in work sessions or management update meetings or whatever on veterans issues, and I think she will be absolutely outstanding in that appointment. So with that introduction, And Kathy didn't have this task force actually down on her list because, again, it kind of came through a different route. But would you like to add anything, Kathy? And then we'll ask Kim to introduce herself.
Well, I've just had the opportunity to meet Kim this morning, but what impresses me so much about her is that she was previously with the Army. She understands coming back to a community after you've served, and I think she'll bring a lot to this committee. It's exciting, so I'm happy she's stepping up.
Thank you. And I thank you very much for considering me for this appointment. I have been attending the meetings just as a veteran, not representing any group for about the last 5 or 6 months. And I'm very passionate about veterans and what it means to come back to civilian life afterwards in that transition. And we have a lot of people transitioning right now. And as a country, we need to show our thanks and gratitude for what they've sacrificed and assist them in coming back to being productive members of society because they have given so much for our freedoms.
Thank you. And Kim, could you just describe a little bit about your background, your military service? And I've heard it a few times when we've been together, but it would be nice for those listening to know a bit more about you.
Sure. I went through ROTC in college, graduated from Portland State, and was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Army. I served on active duty for 4 years. During that time, I spent 1 year over in South Korea, which was a really neat experience. I enjoyed that a lot. Learning about the culture, I had a very unique job over there. Came back and was stationed at Fort Carson, Colorado, where I was deployed to Somalia and spent about 3 months over there during the conflict that we had over there, supporting the United Nations, but it was definitely an interesting experience. And, you know, I have to say, even though there were hard times that I went through, I am very thankful for every bit of it because I learned a lot in the military. I gained a lot of experience, and I use it every day in my life and in the management that I do in my own career now.
Thank you. And Marion County and Polk County actually are a bit unique in Oregon because we don't have our own Veteran Services officers. We work that through the state. We were approached by the state at a work session not that many months ago and asked to perhaps change that, and we haven't really had any discussions since then. But when I went to the Veterans Task Force, asked them for their feedback in terms of how they think services work for them, where things could be improved, if the county should take on a larger role. So I'm hoping that in your new role as our representative, you will host those conversations and then facilitate that information coming back. And if the committee wants to bring members here and we want to set up meetings here also, we can do that with the board as well.
Yeah, Elon did talk to us about that at our last meeting, and so we're starting some committees to kind of get background research of why they stopped having a Marion County and Polk County office and what it would mean as far as to start those up again. So
Right.
we are starting those, and we'll start looking into it and definitely report back to you about that.
Great.
And then we're also working, in addition to the shelter, preparing for the Marion County Fair as well.
Great. Perfect. All right. Any questions or comments?
I just want to say thank you, Kim, for volunteering and doing this really important work. And nobody can do it like somebody who's actually been there, and appreciate your experience and stepping forward. So thank you.
Thank you.
Just the same, you guys are cutting me out on both subjects so
Sorry, I
far
should
this
let you go
morning.
first next
Well,
time.
I know you tried, but I just do want to say thank you and hope you accomplish what you'd like.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity.
Very good. So we have an order that Gloria has prepared for us. And I think after we approve the order, I would like us to read it just because it has so many interesting facts in it, and we don't have a very long meeting today. So first,
you
do we
want
have, so let's
a
first
motion
have a
to
motion to
yeah.
approve it, and then after we vote, then we'll
Madam
read
Chair,
it.
I'll move approval of an order appointing Kim Brady to the Marion County Veterans Task Force.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve Kim Brady to the Veterans Task Force. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye.
Aye.
It's approved. So Commissioner Brentano, would you
All right, I
start?
would happy to. In the matter of appointing Kim Brady to the Marion County Veterans Task Force, This matter came before the Marion County Board of Commissioners at its regular scheduled public meeting Wednesday, March 18th, 2015. Whereas military defense of our nation protects our quality of life in Marion County, and whereas veterans of military service hail and return to our country, and whereas more than 25,000 veterans live and work in Marion County, and whereas more than 30,000 more veterans are expected to return as a result of troop reduction over the next few years, and whereas reintegration of military veterans is at times a challenge for veterans and their families, and
whereas Marion County does not receive funding from the state for a county veterans officer and is not liable for veteran services, as referrals for services are made directly to the Oregon Department of Veterans Affairs. And whereas Marion County supported the Oregon's Joining Community Forces Recognition Program in 2013, an Oregon National Guard initiative based on national model for locally organized efforts of volunteers who foster and sustain relationships within our communities that can assist and support military veterans and their families, including appointment of community volunteer military liaison to the steering committee on behalf of the Board of Commissioners. And
whereas the Joining Community Forces Recognition Program has now become a community-based program organized and known as the Marion County Veterans Task Force. And whereas Marion County supports veterans in Marion County, supports the Marion County Veterans Task Force through voluntary participation on the task force, with the understanding that the Community Volunteer Military Liaison does not have the authority to commit county resources, and encourages the cities in Marion County to join in supporting this task force. Now, therefore, it is hereby ordered that Kim Brady is designated as the Community Volunteer Military Liaison on behalf of the Marion County Board of Commissioners to the Marion County Veterans Task Force to serve at the pleasure of the board. And it is further ordered that the Community Volunteer Military Liaison report back at least annually, we hope more often, to the Board of Commissioners on the activities of the Marion County Veterans Task Force, dated this 18th day of March 2015. So there you go.
thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and we'll get you a copy of this too, so that you have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our second and last item on the board is to consider approval of an order adopting revisions to policy number 704, which is social media use. And we have Jolene Kelly, Noah Olson, and Morgan LaFrance who are going to walk us through this issue.
Good morning, and for the record, my name is Jolene Kelly, and I'm with the Board of Commissioners Office. And with me today is Noah Olson from Legal Counsel and Morgan LaFrance from the Information Technology Department. These are just two of the members, or if you count me, three, that were on the Social Media Committee to help revise this policy. We also have Stacy Vrooman with us today from Human Resources, who is going to help us with training as we implement the new policy. Our committee had representatives from a number of county departments that are engaging in social media use. So that included the dog shelter, sheriff's office, clerk's office for records management, public works, the health department, and then again business services, as well as the three of us. So this came about, Marion County actually adopted a social media policy back in 2011. And that policy, when we initially adopted it in that first work group, one of the things we have to consider as a county, as a government organization, is that there are public records laws that we have to comply with that may not necessarily relate to the private sector when they're using social media. So our initial policy included that we only have static content, that we can't be interactive, that if people respond in a comment, that we respond to them by email or some other means that we can preserve the record. So after a few years of operating like this, several departments said, we want to use social media the way it's meant to be used, interactive and engaging, and provide the opportunity to communicate directly with our constituents through this medium. It's something that's growing in popularity. It's something that a lot of people use. So that was how this work group was put together, was to go ahead and look at how can we revise our policy excuse me, to allow, you might have to take over. To allow engagement and interactivity, as well as preserve the public records that result from that. So my voice is not cooperating, so I'm going to let Noah take over.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, I'm Noah Olson from Legal Counsel. Let's see. So, as Jolene mentioned, our major concern was to allow for a measure of interactivity while still complying with Oregon public records laws. One thing we all...
No, let's check and see if your microphone's working.
Yeah, I apologize. Major concern was to allow for some measure of interactivity while also complying with Oregon's public records laws. We also sought to provide guidelines for some of that interactive content. We don't necessarily want county county social media accounts being used for various sorts of spam or other sorts of inappropriate content. And so by promulgating guidelines for what we'll accept and what we won't accept, that helps us keep the reins on that sort of thing. Let's see. We have, we're in the process of acquiring a tool to allow us to comply with the public records laws while still allowing interactive content and back and forth between our own people who are managing county social media accounts and the public. That has we've had to contract out for that with an outside provider. The funding for that has been included in the IT budget, and that will be an annual recurring cost that will come along with this. We also provided some updated guidelines for training. We're going to have to provide training for people who are managing the county's social media accounts, both in terms of appropriate management of those accounts and then also appropriate use of the archiving tool that we are bringing in from outside. And then we also are trying to keep some management on the individuals who have access to county social media accounts. It's very clear in the past policy and in the current policy that these accounts are speaking, to some extent at least, on behalf of the county. It's important that the county maintain control over what is said on those accounts. And one obstacle we've had in the past has been sometimes the personnel managing these accounts have changed without necessarily anybody outside of those individuals knowing that there's been a change in personnel. So we've just provided procedure for the various departments to let the board's office know when people are going to be speaking for the county who previously haven't been. With that, if there's any questions I can answer immediately, or I can go through the packet.
Well, let's see. Do you have questions?
I don't have any.
Do you want, how much detail do you want in terms of going through the?
Just what the changes are is what I'm really interested
Right, yeah,
in.
so maybe you can just highlight what the specific areas are that have changed.
Absolutely. So starting with the policy, the main changes have been to eliminate previous language that had prohibited, that had mandated that content on county social media accounts be static, i.e. only from us going out, not taking anything back in from the public. Let's see. If I draw your attention to bullet point 1.2 in the policy, we did want to make sure that the content on county social media accounts is a priority for county management. And so one thing that we did do was make very clear that department heads are at least ultimately responsible for content that goes up on social media accounts run by their department. We make provision in the procedure for them to designate somebody within their own hierarchy to do the day-to-day management, but we just want to make sure it's understood that that these accounts need to be a priority for somebody with some authority. Let's see. And those are the real changes to the policy, unless Jolene or Morgan, you have any. We did also provide for exceptions to be made to some of the policies and procedures, and laid out a procedure for those exceptions in the procedure document that's attached to this policy.
So can I ask, and this may be in the procedures, in terms of content management. So first of all, let me just say that I'm really excited about the work that you've done. And working with the Marion County Fair, we have a new consultant this year who came to a fair board meeting and said, we'd like to use your Facebook account. And I'm like, well, our Facebook account, we can only put things on it. And their comment was, well, if you just have like a website on Facebook, that's not going to help us. They were a little bit disgruntled about the whole thing. And so now we can go back and say, well, actually, we can do a little bit of interactive social media. But the issue of, we can control what we put on and what our employees put on. We can't control what others put on when you start doing things interactively. So how do you determine what the parameters are for appropriateness? Because what I think is appropriate, somebody else may think is inappropriate. So there's some things that are probably way on the end where everybody would say they're inappropriate. Graphic images, profanity, that type of thing. But when you get into then more of the gray areas, so if, for example, someone's critical of the county, that's their free speech right to be annoyed with us. So do we leave that on or do we take that off? And who makes those decisions, and how do we make sure that we're not prohibiting someone's right to express themselves and at the same time keeping our social media so that it doesn't offend people, I guess?
Certainly, Madam Chair. In terms of the who makes the decision, I would say that it would be, again, the department head is designated as ultimately responsible for what goes up on social media accounts run by their department. There's also provision for either the board acting as a body, or the chief administrative officer, or a designee of the chief administrative officer to exercise control above the normal process that's laid out for department heads or a designee of the department head to make those decisions. We also, I would direct you to bullet point 2.5, which lays out the moderation guidelines that we as a committee added to the policy. These are, I think these go more to what you were talking about in terms of the common sense. Anybody would agree that this is totally, that the stuff that's prohibited here is totally inappropriate. In terms of just plain criticism of how the county does its business, I would agree with you. We need to act in a way that's viewpoint neutral in managing that content as it comes in.
So then the other piece is that then there'll be someone designated in each department that takes a look at that.
Yes, ma'am.
So people get busy, and some people are going to be more on top of it than others. So something goes on that someone puts up and nobody notices it for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. I mean, how do we make sure that people are constantly aware of what's going up? Because this is going to take a little bit more vigilance on the part of county staff than what they've been accustomed to, I think.
We'll see if I can talk again. One of the things we can do is we can set up, and Morgan is the one that helps us with that a little bit more, so that if people comment, it can come into an email account, so that way whoever the administrator of that account is will know that a comment has come up. If we find that it would violate some of the terms of the moderation, and again, they're really common sense things, then that administrator could go ahead and remove that account. One thing that's nice about the tool that we're going to use for the archiving is that it preserves that. So it would show that the comment was there and that we did remove it. So it preserves that metadata in case we were ever asked about that.
Because that material, even if there's content that comes in that we will not post because it violates our moderation guidelines, that is still a public record and it does need to be retained.
Okay. And as part of our training, with the departments, we want to make sure that if they take on social media responsibilities, that they have the resources to commit to that. It isn't something that takes a whole day or a half a day. It's probably a few minutes, a couple of times a day. And just making sure that that if the primary administrator is away from the office, that there's someone else looking at the account while they're gone.
We do also require that departments that want to operate social media accounts adopt essentially standards and their own internal standards and procedures for how they do that and clear that with the CAO's office.
So John's got authority in this too, then?
Yes, ma'am.
It's going to be
He has all
the
along.
Facebook king. Right, yeah. All right. Yes, Commissioner.
John, I just sent you a Facebook message as we were sitting here.
Do you have an account, John?
It doesn't look like it would make policy, by the way.
Madam Chair, I don't have an account. I refuse to have an account. I will never have a Facebook account. Thank you very much.
That explains why you're not my friend on Facebook.
Just one comment I'm thinking of Noah, not to criticize him, but he said the ultimate would be the department heads, but that isn't correct. If you listen to the whole progression, it goes CAO, then us. So it does make the board responsible for everything that comes through, and it's something to be aware of, and I guess we'll have to make sure department heads know that I probably don't want to be surprised.
Certainly, Commissioner. I think that's a fair reading. We wanted to emphasize to the departments that are running these things that what goes up, management may have some reason to answer
I understand.
for it.
Right. Well, and Jolene really is our designee in the board office that will be looking at this. So I think even though John may not have a Facebook account, he will rely on Jolene, who does have a Facebook account and posts Marion County items regularly, which I like regularly, that she'll be on top of it and can let us know.
One of the things that you can do, and one of the things that I do, is I try every time there's a new page that a department puts up that I go ahead and like it from the Board of Commissioners page so we can see what is there. So besides being able to see what they're posting, it makes it really helpful to be able to share what they're posting. So that way we have that opportunity for cross-promotion of different activities that are going in within the county. We really want this to be, we want to make it easier for departments to engage, and we want to make it a resource for our constituents so that they're getting updated information about things that are going on in the county.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. And Jolene, I would just echo that. I think it's as we all know, technology can be a double-edged sword, but it is an opportunity for us to be able to be more transparent and communicate with our constituents that do have Facebook accounts. And I know we can't keep up with all of that, but it is a very valuable tool for us to be able to communicate what's going on, and I think people really appreciate that. So thank you for the work you've done here.
Just to add on, Kevin, I thought maybe you were going to go more to let people, so we can know what's of interest to people, an easier way to get word to us. So
Right.
that can be pretty valuable and might be
Right.
something that we end up having to really make time for, just to observe what's going on there. Perhaps it's a change. I hate change, but it happens.
Did you want to add anything, John, besides bah humbug?
Yeah, but we live in a new world, and I'm old, so it's going to be difficult. My daughter is pushing me very hard to get a Facebook account so I can see pictures of my grandchildren, so it may happen one day.
That's why I got mine. So Morgan, it's in IT's budget to this new software program that we're talking about. So tell us a little bit about that, and do you know about how much that's going to cost us?
The software The software that we're be purchasing is called Archive Social, and it's estimated that it's going to be about $4,800 per year, and that covers all the social media accounts that we have. So as we gain additional accounts, that price should stay the same. So there's no additional cost for having more accounts.
So this was the real hang-up when we had the first policy, is that we didn't allow interaction because we didn't want to be responsible for figuring out how we would take all of the comments that were posted and archive them and take them off, and there was no way that we know of to do that. And Multnomah County had some other ways of doing it, but it was really staff-intensive, I think, if I recall, and kind of difficult to do. So this is a new software, maybe not brand new, but new to us, that does that for us. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
When the first committee got together, I think we worked on it for probably about 6 months, like this committee. And so that was in 2011, that policy was adopted. A lot has changed technologically, because we looked at different archiving software at that time. And at that time, it was really cost prohibitive. It was so expensive. We just didn't pursue that. And so in the meantime, there are a couple of companies that have come forward that are catering specifically to government, because they understand that we're having these issues, and the cost is quite a bit less.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Any other questions?
Just a comment, I love the picture that's on the Marion County Board of Commissioners website.
Facebook page.
Facebook page.
I'm trying to remember which one it is.
It's a
I
full
change it
lake.
every now and
It's a
then.
full lake up at Detroit, and we hope it gets there this summer. It's beautiful.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr.
if I
Bowman.
could, you've heard this comment before, but people need to realize that technology is very expensive. Unfortunately, that's the way the world is going. When the social media interactions that we have to archive are not the only thing we have to archive. So we've been seeing a huge increase in the need for technology to hold these archived items. When you get to things like the sheriff's cars videos, they have to be archived and kept on. And so it's getting to the point where we really need to watch all of this that we archive, because it means we have to keep buying the technology that you archive all of this on.
So what am I supposed to say in spite of that?
That was kind of a downer way to end it. Thanks a lot, John.
You know, I always have a budget item here.
I would like to make a motion to approve the order that adopts revisions to policy 704, the social media use.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the order approving the revisions to policy 704, social media use. And I'll just make the comment that we have also the administrative procedures. And I think there were probably a lot more changes to the procedures than there were to the policy. It's the protocol, and I think, and the policy of the board. We have a policy about creating policies. And in that policy, it says that the board does not approve the procedures. That allows there to be more flexibility, so we don't have to go through an official board review and vote, but that we do ask to see the procedures when we're approving a policy, and when changes are made to the procedures, we are asked to be informed about that. So if there's anything that concerns us, that we can get right back to the departments and let them know that. So, any further discussion on the motion? Those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that's approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that concludes our action items today. We don't have any public hearings. I'll go ahead and read our Wednesday to Wednesday calendar. Today is March 18th, and we're just completing our board session here at Senator Hearing Room in Courthouse Square. At noon today, we'll be up in Woodburn for our Woodburn Forum lunch at Woodlands Conference and Event Center at Wellspring, 1475 Mount Hood Avenue in Woodburn, and this is our State of the County presentation. Tomorrow morning, March 19th at 8 a.m. is the City of Salem Marion County meeting at the Sassy Onion, 1244 State Street in Salem. That will be followed by a work session at 9:30 on Council of Governments. That will be here at Courthouse Square on the 5th floor in the Silverton Conference Room. At 11:30, tomorrow, Thursday, March 19th, is a roundtable Northwest Natural Community Leaders that will be held at Northwest Natural Salem Center Auditorium, 3123 Broadway Northeast in Salem. And then at 2:30, we have our one-on-one department head elected officials meeting. Is this our first one, or have we had one before this? Does Gloria get to head it off? With County Council. That will be in the Silverton Conference Room on the 5th floor. And then at 4 o'clock, we will meet in a similar meeting with Rod Calkins, who's the Health Department Administrator, in the Silverton Conference Room on the 5th floor. Then on Monday, March 23rd at 8:30, we have our Board of Commissioners calendar review in the Silverton Conference Room, followed by management update at 9 in the Silverton Conference Room, and then followed by a BOC-CAO meeting and an executive session if needed, and that is at 11 to noon in the Silverton Conference Room. March 24th, Tuesday at 8:30, we have Community Corrections Board in the Silverton Conference Room. We spent a lot of time in the Silverton Conference Room. And then 1 week from today, March 25th at 9 a.m., we're back here at the Senator Hearing Room for our regular Wednesday board session. So anything else?
Well, yes, I do. Because this is a short meeting, I'm going to be able to attend a swearing in as a new deputy. Happens to be the son of a former assistant sheriff, under sheriff, and Sheriff Greg Olson. So I know that Garrett's worked real hard. I know how hard he's worked hanging on, trying to get selected and made it, and I know how proud his father will be. So that'll be fun.
That's great.
Where's that happening?
Judge
Commissioner?
Day's office at 10 o'clock if you want to make an announcement and come.
Yeah, I'd love to be there. Yeah, he's a good young man.
Very good. Anything else? We'll be at Woodburn. Our
Yum.
first state of the county out in the,
Oh, that's right. It's not the.
Around the
it's not
county.
I'd almost like to say, I was thinking about that driving in, it's more of a town hall is what
Right,
I'm
it
looking
is.
for. Perhaps we ought to just say that so people can gear up with their questions and we'll guide them in.
right, Jolene put together the list that we asked for, so we'll have that to hand out.
I did participate in another activity Saturday night, a group called Creative Opportunities, and they were highlighting the achievements of people or kids primarily and families with, developmental disabilities or other issues. They did such a nice job, and it was just so fun to be around. I almost asked Jolene to put my picture on our website just so to promote them, and I don't know if we have a policy on that, but I was real happy to be part of that.
Nice.
My granddaughter still hates me, but that's a separate issue.
And I get to see my grandson next week. I'm very excited.
I would think those are the types of things, promoting activities like that in the community are the types of things we could do on our website that would be good information for things that are happening out there and things that you're involved with, that we're involved with.
I have to tell a story now. So the picture reminded me of a picture of my dad. Actually, it's hanging in my office, perhaps you noticed. And he won an award, a national award, Hall of Fame. And he walked up, and he stood there, and he looked out at the crowd, and he just simply said thank you and walked down. But they took the picture right at the right time, like you think it was Reagan himself addressing the masses. And this kind of looks like that, just so you know.
Ah,
But I did say a little bit.
very good.
Did you
Just
put
so
it?
you know.
Did you put it on your Facebook account?
My daughter did, I think.
Okay.
I'm not capable. I have an account. Fine. We don't have to know everything, do
I
we?
set one up for Latimer while we were sitting here.
Oh, that's good. My daughter set mine up. So I just wanted to let you know, Commissioner, that I was at a Big Toy meeting last night, and that the
what
big,
is Big Toy?
and that the
Different.
Big Toy is actually on the Kaiser Today, or whatever the Statesman Journal has the different inserts for different parts of the area, and on the Kaiser one, the Big Toy is the cover. So there you go. I knew you couldn't last the day without hearing about the Big Toy at least once.
I love it.
I did it twice.
Actually, by the way, I was working out this morning, and Jack, who used to do all the articles for the senior newspaper, I'm trying to think of his last name, but I see him every morning when I'm working out, and he has a great granddaughter that he has on Wednesdays, and he was hoping the weather would be good, and I want you to know, so he can take her outside and play. And I said, hey, there's going to be a new park up at Kaiser with Big Toy. So I actually did my share today to
Yay.
promote
There
that
you go. Very
in the
good.
club. So
See, where it gets
You've
everything.
got it. You've got it ingrained in me now.
All right. So anything else? So we'll get you to the 10 o'clock on
good
time,
shape.
so we will adjourn.